Welcome to the Long Island View. I am Tommy Marr, and I have my beautiful co-host here, Mrs. Joyce Philbin Collier. And I think it's only apropos. Well, you had a big weekend. Too.
I had a big, so did you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We had a lot of lobster.
You were killing me with that when you were putting that up on the like, oh, tonight we're having lobster, tomorrow we're having clam, we're having this. Everything I love, you were having.
Well, I snuck 4 lobster tails into the freezer while it was still on sale at one of the local markets, and I never told anybody it was in there. And so I think it was Sunday, we couldn't figure out what we wanted, and my daughter had flown back, and my son wasn't supposed to be home. So I said to my husband, I have 4 lobster tails, okay, and I can make a seafood red sauce with my homemade tomato sauce that I make in the summertime. So, you know, then my son happened to come home with his friend, and everybody enjoyed it. It was a great time.
But you had a biggie, right? Graduation?
Yes, my
good,
son.
Good,
yes.
good on you and your husband.
Yes.
Good on you.
And one thing that I have to say, he graduated from Seton Hall University. The college really did a lot of great events beforehand so that you could really celebrate it. You know, a lot of times
Yeah, it's
the
like,
family,
when's it gonna be
you
over?
go to that big, massive,
Yeah.
you know, stadium. You can barely hear their, you know, their name, whatever, and, you know, poof, it's over.
I know.
But they really had, you know, several events to honor the kids and to really, you know, get the full flavor of what they had worked hard for. So
I definitely could feel your proudness.
Yeah.
And it was,
with the
it was
1,000
nice.
pictures I posted.
Hey, that's something to be very proud of. Let me tell you something.
Well, I went from having a photo that broke hearts when I had to say goodbye to my son in his freshman year. I mean, the whole
Oh, I know
sobbing
that.
and the red, ugly cry. My husband captured the, you know, the hug goodbye. And then it was
And you
just, you
watched
know, I
that?
survived. Well, no, I'm just saying the difference, you know,
Yeah.
between then and now. I mean, I'm like, okay, I survived.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was
great.
good.
Congratulations
Yes.
to the both. And now your daughter's doing well back in.
She's doing very well. She's back in Alabama. We'll
They
see
looked
her in a-
happy, and you looked happy, and what's better than
It's
that?
all good. It's all good. I've got nothing to complain about.
Man, boy, are you rare.
Well, nobody would really care. But anyway, we have a very special guest here today.
We sure do, and I think you should
Talk about him.
do your
Well,
thing.
You know, they say the hardest working people in show business, and definitely our guest has definitely gotten into this category. He's an actor, both live theater, television, and film, in many of the projects and productions that you're familiar with. And this particular half hour, we're going to be talking about his relationship with Laura Branigan and the Spirit of Love memorial that they do every year since her passing. And a lot of people are unaware that Laura Branigan actually passed, and she had such great hits as Gloria and so many more. But I'm going to introduce Tommy Bayiokos so he can tell you himself all about, you know, his experiences of being a percussionist and drummer for Laura's band as well. So welcome, Tommy.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. And beautiful studio, and congratulations on your 3rd season.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, you know, how does one first meet an iconic pop star like Laura Branigan?
Well, was she iconic before you met her?
Good
What
question.
Excellent question.
I didn't know her as iconic until after the fact. That was all pre-social media, before YouTube, and
Yeah.
even back then she used to yell at me, "Tommy, get a computer, get with the times."
Etch a sketch. Etch a sketch.
Yeah.
Exactly. I knew her more as Laura the person. And
when was that? When did you meet her?
in early 2000, the band started rehearsing around the corner from where I used to bartend in Midtown. And Matthew Caswell, who was the music director, he was the MD. And through him, I got to know her over time. And then finally I met her, and we hit it right off. And she invited me to say, "Tommy, why don't you come to Vegas and run the show?" And
Now, at that point, did you know
There
what
was-
a big, because Gloria had come out in 1982.
That was a great song.
Yep, she had
Great
like
song.
4 albums. She was twice, you know, nominated for a Grammy, and, you know,
I was
were
sheltered
you
to that.
hiding in a corner?
But that had already happened, though, right?
Well, her career was kind of sheltered from me growing up Greek strip.
Oh, true.
I
yeah.
mean, I just listened to Buddy Rich.
No,
and-
but I mean, was Gloria already out when you got when you came into the picture?
Yes, well, Gloria was
Okay.
released in 1982, and I knew of the tune, but I didn't know
Right.
really of her career
Right.
up until that point. And I went to Vegas, and I learned the band, and it was hints. She liked me from day one. It was mutual. And then in '04, we dated for 8 months up until she passed.
Yeah,
So it was
now,
sort
a
of like a
lot of-
Cinderella story, in effect.
And a lot of people, I'm surprised, really have no idea that she did pass away. You know, it was, again, at the time, before all the social media and before information was really so much at hand. And I, myself, learned a lot, when we first met about,
That's
her
correct.
passing and her career. And can you bring us to that point in time? I mean, you're in a very special relationship.
And she was a Long Island girl, too,
And
right?
she was from East Quogue.
East Quogue, right here.
And
sure.
originally, she was born in Brewster, New York, in upstate, and I think she lived in Manhattan for a while, but
Yes.
ultimately was
51st
out in East
Street.
Quogue for a long period of time. So bring us back to that time. I mean, that had to have been, exciting and then shattering
Yes.
because it was an unexpected passing. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, after the Mohegan Sun tour, we started dating in January. She lived in Summers Hills in Westchester, and then she moved in March to East Quogue, and I spent a lot of time out there, and I got to know it. It was like a paradise.
Sure.
Jogging in the morning, and it was like there was no MapQuest. I had to get lost in all these,
Yeah.
ancient roads and stuff, Indian names.
And all the hipsters weren't out there. then.
Yes.
And it was beautiful. And only in hindsight, years later, can I reflect back and say, wow, this actually happened. And, in Laura's house, there was no sign of Laura's career. She was a beautiful fireplace, a pool, a guitar by the fireplace. And there was just one plaque of her CDs of her career, and that's it, records. And that's it.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes, that's
They're
right.
coming back, though.
And our last show in Boston, which I think was July 16th, when me and Laura flew together and she played to tracks. We opened up for the Commodores.
Oh.
We played on Friday, the Commodores played Saturday. And it's like I forgot we had, oh my God, she has to sing. I forgot that part of her career, that I was so into it, or into her at the time. And again, years later, I think I went through, after she passed, my father passed away. And I was kind of peeking out. I was playing, I was on TV in Pix 11, I was on Third Watch, Sex and the City, a few cameos on The Sopranos, and then you kind of go through the fire, you go through the dark side, and then many, many years later you come back, and then you see, after all the cloud and smoke fades, you start to see clearly of what happened.
Can you talk about how, the circumstances surrounding her passing?
Brain aneurysm ran in her family. There were signs she had pains, and she had several doctor's appointments.
There were reports that she had had headaches for several weeks,
Yes.
but it hadn't really
And she was
been-
seeing a doctor. And at first, one gets a headache, you think it's nothing, you think it's, but it ran in her family and it came very sudden and shocking.
Did she know it ran in the family at the time?
I think she knew, but it wasn't reinforced. It's not something that, was reminded. And I was in denial. I mean, when it happened,
It was very sudden.
Yeah.
Right.
And the day it happened, Connie Baxter, Laura's neighbor, called me. It actually happened the Thursday night, and we found out Saturday morning when they found her. Magda, the housekeeper, found her. And I was called, and my name is on the police reports and ambulance reports. And it was kind of, my friend actually Attila, who was a sergeant in the 6-1 in Brooklyn, he drove me with his cop car there, his off-duty cop car.
It had to have been very surreal for
I was
you.
crying
Yeah.
from, it didn't occur to me as we're getting closer that it actually happened. I was almost in denial. It just wasn't possible. One day I'm talking to her on the phone,
Right.
and there was a doctor's appointment set up, and then,
And this wasn't the first time that you had dealt with loss. I mean, at 10
Yes.
years old, you had a very significant loss. I would imagine that this just compounded, the feelings even more.
one bond that me and Laura shared back then is she loved and lost. She lost her husband, Larry, in 1996 to colon cancer. So when I met her, many of our private conversations had to do with losing and love. Then she says that to her fans, this is for all that loved and lost. before she started playing, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow on the piano or something like that. So we shared that common bond of loving and lost, and she knew me very, very well because...
And you also shared the love for martial arts.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Unknown to me early in the career, she was throwing all these front kicks and all over the place in the 80s, and I found that after the fact.
And you are a black belt.
I'm a first Dan,
Yeah.
black belt. I started the martial arts at 18, the drumming since 10 years old. And it kind of went in hand because when I was a kid, I was a short, pudgy, fat, shy kid. So the martial arts helped me develop that confidence, that edge.
Sure.
And here we are today.
Yeah.
So we shared that bond, and we started working out together, and I was giving her some regimens to work on. And, the goal back then was to have the world tour, for her to come out with the cookbook, the new CD, all these good things happening. And
Well, that's another thing that people don't know is that she loved cooking, and at the time
Yes.
of her passing, she actually had a manuscript going to put out a cookbook.
That's correct.
Now, did she have any favorite dishes?
She loved Greek food.
Oh,
So
well, that came in handy because you
that was
love
good for
Greek
me.
food too.
That was good for me. She made a lot of good dishes at the house. Her friend Gary Knotsoff from East Quogue was coming over quite often. She would cook for her mom, Kathleen. And, it's 12 years later, but there is no time. You can't say,
No.
well, we mourned for 5 years, let's move on. We moved on.
Well,
But the reason I'm here today, and I think I'm doing so well in the biz, is because of Laura.
because she stays with you.
Yes, and getting back to your point, if I may,
Absolutely.
1 out of 2 people doesn't know she passed.
Right.
I could be on the set of Blue Bloods, and they say, Tommy, Laura, she passed when?
Yeah.
And, that's the
And I
business
think
we're in.
I think that's the nature again of the social networking because at that time it wasn't as instantaneous and accessible as it is right now.
Agreed.
So here's the big question, okay? The love of your life is Laura Branigan. How can any woman that you may become involved with compete with that memory, especially, and we'll get to the way that you honor her memory year after year with many of the people that love her and her fans. But how does a woman compete with that?
Well, look, that's a very good question. I've been in a few good relationships since then and a few train wrecks.
Oh, well, welcome to the club. Okay, they're not all great.
Choo-choo!
Hop aboard.
And they were all wonderful. That being said, I think true love, and I really believe this, happens once in a lifetime.
I couldn't agree more.
It happens, and you don't plan it. I mean, I'm Greek. Laura was Irish. I mean, she's my band leader. No, I shouldn't date her. It just happened. When you wake up with those jitters and it takes you over, and I think that happens once, if you're lucky,
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
it's rare to even happen once.
in somebody's lifetime. And I think enough time has passed by, and like I have my coaches at SAG-AFTRA, reading plays and doing all these characters has helped me.
Because it helps you to get in
Exactly.
touch with.
Keeping busy. Is
Yes.
I mean, to become a hermit, it would be.
Exactly.
You'd end up there too.
Exactly. And what doesn't kills you makes you stronger.
Right. That's true.
So to answer your question, I think she would want me to be happy, and I leave it up to the appointed time. Because at this point, everybody I meet is going to have a past.
Right.
So we have to honor that and respect that, but we proceed with a blank page. That was that special chapter,
Right.
and I'm going to respect somebody else's special chapters.
So when you had the train wreck, did you go, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
Nah, that was just, look, no guarantees.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
So.
And also, sometimes you try to, your mind plays tricks. You try to recreate something that's gone.
And you can't.
Yeah.
And I find I fell into that trap once or twice. And again, everybody was wonderful.
So let me ask you a question. Was that your first love too? Because that's another component. Because if that first love, if you break up and, life takes a course, that's one thing, you get over it. But when it's taken from you, when you haven't been, a willing participant in such a way and you don't get answers and you can't have, any closure beyond that, that has to be very difficult. I mean,
Yes.
most of us with those first loves, they don't work out, but
Right.
you move on. But with this, it's not in the same category.
No, and I'm going to answer this with a quote from a very fine play that I read recently. And this quote has, I think, addresses the whole thing where by Robert Anderson in the play I Never Sang for My Father. He says in that play, one of the quotes is, "Death ends a life, but it does not end a relationship.
That's right.
What struggles on in the survivor's mind towards some resolution which it never finds." And I think it's so true.
It's very true.
You wait, you search in life, oh, when is it going to end? And then you wait a minute. No, there is no healing. You just have to have acceptance.
Right.
And that helps you move on. When you accept that the loss happened, it was a chapter, it's there, but you're moving on.
Right.
And there's no resolution.
You can.
You know, but I am a true spiritual person, and this is not it. I mean, this is not it.
No.
Oh.
So,
Agreed.
you know,
Yeah.
you will be together again, and you
Agreed.
know that.
Agreed.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that.
You just shut your eyes, and
you-
the answer is your heart.
Yeah.
And that brings us to how you and many of her other loved ones and fans have honored her year after year. You're coming up on the 12th year of doing the Spirit of Love.
Yes.
Last August, it was a 3-day weekend. I would imagine that the framework of it is pretty similar. Can you talk about how that started and what the weekend actually involves? I know there's tours, and you can take
Sure.
1 or 2 days, you know, at the hotel, wherever the location is.
Sure. Well, Kathy and Vince Golick of the Other Half Entertainment, you could go onto their Facebook page, and all the information is there. LauraBraniganOnline.com. It evolved the first year where here Laura passed, and now you have all the fans in disarray. So it was nice to see the fans reunite under the leadership of Kathy and Vince Golick and Laura's company. And they throw this event yearly because Laura was cremated. And I mean, I go to the cemetery to visit my father on certain holidays. So it's become an oasis, a sanctuary where the fans get together and they share stories, memorabilia, tongue twister.
Are her ashes buried somewhere that?
The family.
Oh, they were scattered.
They were scattered
That's
in East
right,
Quogue.
Long Island.
That's right. They were scattered in East Quogue and under the family at the time. So it's nice to see that the fans have a sanctuary where they could share memories and thoughts and see footage and concerts and keep the torch going, because Laura, if you knew her, would not want to be forgotten. And it's nice to see that the fans are still holding the torch 12 years later, and her
Sure.
legacy
Is the
resonates.
spot where her ashes is, or were they just scattered?
Oh, no, they were
throughout?
scattered privately in East Quogue with the family Mark, Branigan, and all that.
So what was the first celebration of her life? What was that first year like?
The first was really, really emotional, the first one. We had a huge, huge turnout. I would say there was over 100 folks from all over the world. And it was just a huge caravan of cars. And I kind of, that was my calling. I kind of assisted everyone of, showing where this was, that was, and I contributed greatly to her memory and for the fans. Because
How did you get through that, though, the first time?
it was
Must have
rough.
been
It was rough. I mean, I can act like I'm fine, and in public I'll say I'll be nice, but the next day,
But that
So
had
it's like
to
a
have
train hit
been
you.
a
That's-
public
I
opportunity
couldn't
for
hold
you
that
to really
together.
mourn with other people.
it's rough. It's rough because I couldn't easily mourn in private. I could call the
But
guys
you,
with
you
the band.
also probably knew that she would appreciate that. Too.
Yes, I asked myself the hard questions. What would Laura want?
Right.
And then when it's all said and done, I'm saying, you know what? I did it okay. I did it right.
Yeah.
Well, do you want
Unconditionally.
to share a couple of memories of Laura now, and just let us know what each of these things are? Some of the memories
Sure,
that.
sure.
Um,
Where should I
you guys
start?
share. Well, there you go.
Oh, that's a photo from East Quogue, Laura in the beach, and it symbolizes her natural beauty.
That's a
Again,
great shot.
I love that shot.
Beautiful.
Is that out on Long Island?
Yes, it is.
It looks like the Hamptons or the South Shore there.
That looks to the right. That photo is her waving goodbye at the Turning Stone Casino concert, and that was a great, great show. And she's waving to the fans and audience. That's the People magazine, and I think that symbolizes Laura best. That article came out when she first passed, and she loved gardening, so it was symbolic that she was with flowers there, and she's smiling, and She seemed very happy, very serene.
She seemed, the little, I mean, not that, like she said, the social media wasn't the same then, but I remember her very well, and she seemed like just a regular chick, that just wanted to be a regular chick. And
Exactly.
didn't want all the fanfare, and not that she didn't
Yes.
appreciate it, but I bet she wants to just live a simple life, though. Is that
Agreed,
right?
agreed. She was very
With a
simple.
very powerful,
Yeah.
she had a very powerful, sultry sound.
Very
Yes.
natural-looking girl, like
yeah.
not overdone.
She's a country girl.
Yeah.
She was a country girl, and at the end, she liked simplicity. She wasn't into the glamour and the,
Right. Right.
And
Like that beach picture.
Yes, I remember actually. In Eisenhower Park in 2002, we did a concert right here for over 10,000 people. 10,000 at Eisenhower Park.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore this cowbell thing on my neck, and she comes in and she's like checking me out, looking at me. She's like, "Take that off. Don't wear that," because it was unnatural. And I'm wearing red today, and she said to me, she goes, "Red's your color." So
It's a good color on you.
all the percussion shows. I mean, we can't wait this on film and certain
Right,
shows.
that's right.
But she liked red, and it was a good percussion
Well,
color.
I don't
you
wanna-
get something red that goes down on a necklace or something that can't be seen, and you got that red on it, or
I
something
don't
in your
wanna
pocket, or
Yep.
a
forget-
chip or something.
I just don't want to forget that, Tommy, if you can just bring us back. I know that you are a black belt, and
Yes.
you won this award. If you can tell us a little bit about that,
Sure.
and then what you plan to do with it.
This award I won in this Atlantic City in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, which is the Academy Awards for Martial Arts.
Cool.
And here, you can see it, beautiful award. So Sifu Goldberg, who runs the event, and it was a named all-star card: Chuck Zito, Don the Dragon Wilson, Cynthia Rothrack, Christine Bannon Rodriguez. It goes on and on. The best martial artists in the world. So
See, you needed your little notes to be able to mention everybody.
it goes on and on.
This is your Academy Award speech.
Now, my Sifu runs the event, but I think the ambassador of goodwill, I've done a lot of contributions in the martial arts. Murdered by the Mob, the off-Broadway dinner theater show that I'm involved, has a martial arts segment. So they've been keeping track of me, and it went through the committee. And I thought, what better way to honor Laura's legacy this year than to dedicate the award to her? So it says here, the engraving is for Laura Branigan.
Wonderful.
And they announced it. And when I see the fans this year at the Spirit of Love, I'm going to give it to Kathy Vince-Golick for the fans. And it's going to be great.
And can you just repeat again what websites people can go to
Sure.
to get all the information on this, and also what they can expect, the specific events that...
Sure. All the information, it will be on laurabraniganonline.com and Laura Branigan's official
One
Facebook
N,
page.
BRANIGAN.
That's right, one N.
One
right.
N.
One N, online, fullword.com, Laura Branigan official Facebook page. And all the information's on there. And they can come for the day, they can come for the weekend.
Are her parents still alive?
Kathleen Branigan, her mom passed away in 2005, a year after Laura. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So that was, yeah. So both, and her father, James, passed a long time ago.
Did she have any other siblings or anything?
She has an older brother, Mark, a sister, Susie, and a younger brother, Billy.
Oh.
And Mark Branigan, he was the older brother, and he was at the wake, and I have nothing but kind things to say about him. I remember at the wake, I was a pallbearer. And after we came in, I was a mush, I was a wreck, I couldn't think straight. I went to sit with the band, and in front of hundreds of people, he's, "Tommy, no, you're in the front. Laura would want you in the front with me."
Very nice.
And that I remember, and I'm forever grateful that he was
Yeah.
treated me
Class.
with respect, and I have nothing but kind things to say about him. He's a man of privacy, too. And he lost his sister, so I think of him often. And we exchange pleasantries on holidays, Christmas, and that's nice.
Very nice.
So
And they tour, when they tour on the weekend of the Spirit of Love, where do they tour to? Like when they go, isn't there a bus trip that they take?
they arrive in Ronkonkoma on a Friday at the Garden, Hilton.
Hilton?
And then the next day they go to the beach. They do. They visit. They go by the house. They drive by. They go to places where Laura used to go. Certain eateries.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They see footage.
And they share memories.
Maybe they'll have a drink or two.
And then this year you'll be
That would be nice.
dedicating and providing them with this as part of the collection.
Exactly, to add on to the collection that they have already. And it's all on display. So that's the place to go to if you want to experience Laura and relive.
Do you know what the dates are this year?
It's on the site. I think it's
It was
around the
August
12th.
last year, so
Yeah, it's early August. I think the 12th. It's early
It's a
August.
Sunday?
It's a weekend. It's Friday to Sunday.
Okay, that's it, because I'm at Woodstock that weekend, so it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Well,
I do the reunion up there at Yaz's
Oh.
Farm.
I'm going to send you a gift or two. We'll see.
I think that's cool, though, to do that, you know. It's,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
And this will be the 12th year that
Yes.
you'll be honoring her.
Yes.
I think that the fans, her loved ones, referred to her themselves as a legacy and, a legend in some respects because of her wholesome nature and her power and her voice.
5-octave range.
Yep.
5 octaves.
yeah. Oh,
Yep.
she could sing.
Yeah.
And she
This might be a silly question, but is there a Facebook page for her?
Yes, the Laura Branigan official Facebook
Oh.
page, and has all the latest stuff
Good.
from Other Half Entertainment, Kathy and Vince Golick. So
And you can
it's all
also
on
get
there.
that information
Yeah, it's
for,
all
because
on
I think that's
there
where I
and-
got it last year.
Yeah, because I could take a whole episode to describe that.
Yeah. No, that's
Well-
great that they keep that legacy
Yeah, this
going
has
like
been
that.
great remembering Laura with you, and
Yes.
we really have enjoyed having you here.
And I can honestly say, I mean, I've done a lot these years, but I think wherever I go in my life, that forever will be on a pedestal.
Yeah.
That'll be my greatest forever gig. And nothing can top that, but I accept that moving
well,
ahead.
but because it has
Never
other
say
facets,
never, but
yeah,
Fair
I know where you're coming from.
it had different components to it than just doing a gig.
It
That
had many layers,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it was a
And it got
special,
inside you.
special chapter that I
Well,
take
you
forward.
you were in a loving relationship. I mean,
yeah,
that doesn't.
Yeah.
and some people never experience that even once.
No. And I think talking about it with years later, I'm able to face the music, and it's cathartic for me. And everything, she taught me many, many things.
And I always say, with all the losses I've had, you never get over it, but you learn to live with it, and
Yes.
you learn strengths that you may not have had before.
He
And I
seems
think,
like a guy, and his inner peace is good.
oh yeah,
I
Thank
can
you.
see it in your eyes.
You're a good judge of character.
he
Ditto.
stays very busy.
No, well, that's the key, I think. No,
So-
I can see it.
I was in an episode in Blue Bloods. I'm one of Tom Selleck's core lieutenants. And so one of the stand-ins, Amy Evans, who has her own band, the Belltones, she, as a gift, she says, Tommy, this is for you. And I said, what's this? And it's a 45 of Gloria.
Oh,
And I said, oh
Over
my
this-
God.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
said,
That's good.
oh my God, thank you. And again, before my time,
Now, and
but it
you
was a
don't-
nice gesture. And
you
it
don't
shows
think-
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't think that was?
it was a
sent?
divine sign.
Of
It was
course,
sent.
Exactly.
It was sent.
Everything's for a reason.
yes.
It
So there's
was
been
A
many,
sent.
message
I could
saying
feel
hi.
that.
whether it's a dream or
Yes.
an innuendo or
Well, I
something.
think we're
Okay, yeah, we're about at
ready.
the end. But this is so good.
Yes.
I think we should do a part 2.
Yes, because we haven't learned even a little bit about all of the talents that
I'm
Tommy
ready.
has.
I'm ready.
By all
I'm
means.
enjoying this.
And I don't have to
tremendously.
remember names because everybody's Tommy around here.
TNT.
Well, then please stay tuned because it's going to get really good. Because
Gonna
now we're
get
going to go into Tommy's personal background, and we're going to take him up as a child right to the day. And he's a busy guy, and we're looking forward to listening. And I know you guys are too. And there'll be some more Laura Branigan stories, I'm sure. But basically, we're going to talk about what Tommy's up to and what he's doing, and where his journey is taking him. So stick with us. We'll be back next week. And you guys, you other people, we'll be right back in a little bit. So hang in there, and thank you from the Long Island View.